What's good my people, it's your boy Nick aka your Slice of Fiji and Spice, blessing your screens yet again with another video. Now for those of you who haven't seen my last video, as always make sure you go run it up, link is in the description. Joker, Folie, Deux. There have been a mixture of different responses, largely negative in response to this film. But before I get into it, as always, make sure you do me a huge favour and hit that like and subscribe button and turn on bell notifications for more content. Now this film actually takes place 4 years after the events of the first film, where Joker / Arthur Fleck is actually being taken on trial for the murders that he committed. And on top of that, we're also introduced to another infamous character who you may know from the comics, Harley Quinn. And for those of you who don't know, Harley Quinn is known to be the Joker's love interest.
Nearly blew us a Chattahoochee.
You gotta save me, Puddin', he's after me!
Now before I actually get into the nitty gritty of things, I think it's important to clarify what type of film this actually is. Because in spite of the first film introducing Bruce Wayne as a child, having his parents killed, thereby setting up the Batman, and also cementing Arthur Fleck as the Joker, you're probably gonna think that this sequel is gonna delve into that a little bit more. Arthur Fleck fully inserting himself and donning the persona of the Joker, becoming the clown prince of crime which we all know and love. A film where we can see that he has officially made a name for himself.
Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
But do we get that? No, we do not. It yet again, like the first one, happens to be about a story on a particular subject matter that happens to have the Joker's name on it. The main subject matter mainly being about love, but not in the conventional romantic sense, albeit there was a little bit of that, but love in regards to adoration. And what I mean by that is when you're watching this film, you're constantly thinking and asking yourself, do his followers actually admire Arthur Fleck, or do they admire the Joker? Do they like Arthur Fleck, an average everyday nobody, or do they like the agent of chaos? And the sad realization is that everybody loves the Joker, but not because he's played by Arthur Fleck, it's because they love what the Joker represents. And it's an interesting take because when that realization sets in, you realize how quickly the Joker's most loyal followers will turn their backs on him. And I think it's something that a lot of people in today's society do in general. The most loyal followers will turn their backs on people the moment they see something that they don't like or they don't think aligns with what their idol should represent. And don't get it twisted, I'm not talking about people like P. Diddy and R. Kelly, etc, etc. I'm talking about examples on how, you know, people have switched up on Duke Dennis because once they realised how flawed he was, that he was just in fact a human being, they switched up on him. And I also think a big portion of this was shown in Joker's relationship with Harley Quinn. Now if you're familiar with the comics then you know that it's a very toxic relationship, especially from the Joker's end. There's this power dynamic, the Joker's the one in charge and Harley's the one that's following behind. He doesn't care about Harley, he just uses and abuses her. She's just a toy to him. And a lot of times when you're watching their relationship, you feel sorry for Harley a little bit. But in this film, the relationship is flipped. Because rather than the Joker having control of Harley, it's rather Harley having control of the Joker.
You can do anything you want.
And in a way you feel somewhat happy for him, not only because he's found love for the first time, but because he's also around somebody that he feels that he can be completely free and crazy around. But then you start to realise that Harley only likes the Joker and not Arthur Fleck. She's in love with the type of person the Joker is and what it is that he represents, but not the person that's playing him.
I hope this guy blows his brains out.
Because when we see Arthur Fleck admitting that he was the one responsible for the crimes and not the Joker, we see everybody, including Harley Quinn, turn their back on him. And it puts things into perspective by making you realise that he is someone who she would have easily ignored and walked all over had he not become the Joker. Oh, and by the way, this is a musical. Why Todd Phillips decided to make it into a musical, I have absolutely no flipping idea, because it didn't need to be. Because albeit the musical elements helped to relay what the characters were thinking and feeling in each scene, it was very inconsistent and slowed down the pacing of the film. It also felt like he was using it as an opportunity to tell us what we're supposed to feel and understand in case we missed it. It just felt like Todd Phillips was trying to do something clever but didn't really land. If you're gonna make it a musical, then make it a musical, but don't be half-hearted with it. One, because I felt like it watered down a lot of the serious tones in some of the scenes. And two, by doing that, I felt like that they ended up spoon-feeding a lot of the emotions. I can tell by the Joker's stare, his reaction, his face, that he's going through something mentally. I don't need him to break into a little short song in order for me to understand how it is that he's feeling. I can see that perfectly. You don't need to explain it to me. Overall, what I got from this film and the first film was that he was just a person that wanted to feel loved and valued. That's why he felt like he needed to do what he ended up doing. But after doing all of that, he realized that he was still the same empty, hollow person who just created an idol for chaos. And the people that followed and loved and admired him only loved the person that he created, this entity, and not Arthur Fleck, which ironically puts him in the same position as he was in the beginning of the first film, a nobody. Almost like he inspired the character to be taken on by somebody else and not himself, Arthur Fleck. And this is pretty much confirmed because at the end of the film, spoiler alert, another guard sets up Arthur Fleck to get fatally stabbed by another inmate who afterwards carves up his face and ends up becoming, guess who? The Joker. Which then potentially sets up the story for another Joker film. Do I want to see that on the other hand? No, I fucking don't. I am sick and fucking tired of other creators taking inspiration from Heath Ledger's Dark Knight Joker and implementing it into their own project. Because as an audience, we can clearly see where the inspiration from your version of the Joker came from. We've seen the carved up face and the long trench coat in Gotham. We've seen the carved up face in Matt Reeves' Batman. We've seen the carved up face with this prick. We've seen that dark, gritty Joker personality that Heath Ledger had that people are clearly trying to replicate. I've seen that. As an audience, we've seen that. It's just annoying because I feel like a lot of creators don't know how to make an original Joker without taking inspiration from Heath Ledger's Joker in some capacity. Because if they're not taking any inspiration from that, the other option is just by making them into this crazy, camp, outlandish dickhead.
I could tell you meant that.
Like what I got for Batty, man.
And it's a shame because I felt like Todd Phillips was that guy to make his own Joker, and in the first film he did. And again, this isn't me shitting on Heath Ledger, this is me shitting on the other projects that have tried to replicate what Heath Ledger has done. But Todd Phillips' Joker, albeit being an artsy type of film, in regards to looks and personality, he wore a sharp red suit, had the clown makeup, no Glasgow smile, had the perfect laugh, perfect charisma, mannerisms. He had something there. And I felt kind of cheated in a way because instead of Todd Phillips allowing Arthur Fleck to explore and fully become this Joker, he does a complete U-turn, gets Arthur Fleck killed off by another prick who then decides to carve his face up and become the Joker instead. And it's going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, but at the same time I'm not, because I didn't think this movie was as bad as what people made it out to be. I understood the message and I understood the meaning, and I also understood that it was just a film about a particular subject matter with the Joker's name on it. But because so much had been set up in the first film in regards to meeting Bruce Wayne, meeting Thomas and Martha Wayne, having them get killed, it led us to believe that Arthur Fleck was going to become the next Joker. And sadly, it was something that was ultimately snatched away from us. And I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't pissed off at Todd Phillips as well. I feel like he knew that this film was going to have such a negative response. And I feel like that he just wanted to do things his own way, which I can respect to an extent. But as a director, making a film about one of the most iconic characters written in history that happens to be from the DC universe, hearing that you want nothing to do with them is extremely alarming. And for us comic book fans, it just feels like it's a massive slap in the face and a kick in the dick at the same time, because a director wanted to go about doing his own thing, his own way, and make his millions whilst leaving us in the dust looking like a bunch of dickheads yet again. And I feel like the fact that we waited 4 years for this bullshit is just a complete and utter joke. It just goes to show how some directors think that they've got our best interest at heart, when in actuality it's clear to see that they don't. Because Heath Ledger did such a phenomenal job at the Joker, I can understand why it's so hard to top it. And I'm sorry to say, other than maybe video games and some TV shows, the Joker's reputation is hanging by a thread. And when I see films like this, it just feels like that thread is getting thinner and thinner and thinner. I do hope James Gunn knows what he's doing with the Batman. I hope we're going to get a good Joker from him. I know Barry Keoghan's going to play the Joker in Matt Reeves' Batman, but I can't lie, I'm not trying to see the Joker in that particular universe in this very moment in time. But if that does happen, I just hope it goes right. But in any case, those are just some of my thoughts and opinions on the Joker Folie Deux. And by all means, please share your thoughts in the comments below, whether or not you agree or disagree. I've been your boy Nick. Thanks for watching. Bless.